What's going on, movie fans? This is episode 4 of the Real Takes podcast here on WSBC Radio. I'm your host, Dan Sisk. We have a couple really exciting projects to talk about this week. First, we've got the new HBO series, The Penguin, which just wrapped up on HBO. And then we also have the new movie, A Real Pain, which just came out in theaters in our area this past weekend. So let's get right into it with The Penguin. So this is obviously a spin-off from the Batman film from 2022 with Robert Pattinson. That was a movie that I really, really enjoyed. As a hardcore Batman fan, I really liked that it kind of deviated more towards the detective aspects of the Batman character as opposed to the more action-oriented elements. I did feel that the movie was a little repetitive of some other crime thrillers like Seven, but overall, I thought it was, and it was also too long, but overall, I thought it was a really, really good movie, and I've been looking forward to seeing more projects set in that world. What was really bizarre to me was when they announced a Penguin TV series, because I really didn't know how the Penguin, even though Colin Farrell did a great job in the Batman, I didn't really know how that character could be expanded for, to fill up an entire miniseries. I felt that it was a very odd choice on how to continue the universe. I would have much preferred them just go right into the Batman Part 2. So I had hesitation going into this series, but having seen the entire 8-episode run, I can confidently say that this is not only one of the best DC projects of the last number of years, but it is one of the best comic book television shows ever made. It is that good. It is remarkably well written, directed, and acted. And it really, really expands the Oswald Cobblepot character. In the show, they call him Oz Cobb. But it really expands the Oz Cobb character into someone that I now love, and I cannot wait for him to return in the Batman Part 2, which is set to come out in 2026. So the basic setup is that this show immediately follows the aftermath of the Batman. So the Riddler has flooded the city, and there's a huge power grab in the Gotham underworld following the death of Carmine Falcone, and Oz is trying to take control of the underworld. And this show feels more like a crime drama like The Sopranos. It feels more like that than traditional DC content, which I immediately sparked to because HBO dramas like that are my jam. I watch a ton of shows on HBO, so that kind of stylistic shift was something that I really, really enjoyed. It is definitely very well paced as a TV series. With a lot of these big budget franchise television shows, like the Marvel ones, you very much get the vibe that Disney just took movies, and just kind of stretched them out into television shows without really thinking about what made television shows work in the first place as a medium. This Penguin show feels like a television show. It doesn't feel like a movie that was stretched out into 8 hours. It is very well thought out, very well paced, and very well conceived, and I really, really liked that. In terms of the acting, Colin Farrell continues his great stretch of acting. He's so underrated. He's not really a popular actor because his box office is all over the place. But if we're just looking at the acting objectively, he is a fantastic actor, and he really adds a lot of dimension to the Oz Cobb character. They never go the anti-hero route. They never try to really make Oz sympathetic. They make him a full-fledged villain. They never try to redeem him at all. And that was one of the things I really liked about the show, and the reason it worked so well is Farrell's performance. He makes sure that you understand the character, but he never tries to make you sympathize with the character. He just wants you to understand him. Farrell's performance is wonderful. Frankly, it's one of the best things he's ever done. It might be up there with The Lobster in terms of his best performances. But while he was fantastic, the standout here for me is Kristen Milioti as Sophia Falcone. Wow, wow, wow. I have never seen How I Met Your Mother, but apparently she was one of the most hated characters on that show. I don't know how that's possible given her acting here. She is a remarkable addition to this show. She has a standalone episode. I believe that it's episode 4, which shows her background in Arkham Asylum. It's the best episode of the series. It is absolutely spectacular from start to finish, and it entirely revolves around Miliotti's performance. She stole every single scene that she was in. She was terrifying. She made Sophia someone that you truly cared about, even though she was a complete and utter sociopath. And thankfully, because I was convinced that they would, they leave the door open for her to return in the Batman Part 2. She is rumored to have a big role in that movie, and I cannot express to you how badly I want her to return for that movie. I think she would steal every single scene that she was in that movie. Um, just a wonderful, wonderful addition to the show. She was probably my favorite thing about it. Um, the directing is also top notch. They got a lot of HBO talent. Some directors from the show Succession. If any of you have seen that, that's one of the best shows I've ever seen. A lot of that talent worked on this. They got a number of big name directors. And the production value. They spent the money on this film, on this TV series, and you can tell every frame, the composition of the shots, the lighting, the framing, everything about the show visually is top notch quality, and I would expect nothing less from HBO. But yeah, that's really all I can talk about without spoilers. But please, if you are at all invested in the Batman mythology, please watch this show. It is absolutely phenomenal. I continue to believe that Matt Reeves continues to have his finger on the pulse of specifically the Batman fandom, because while his Batman movie and this Penguin show don't have the box office and ratings respectively of the kind of projects that other comic book movies are. I mean, Deadpool made considerably more money than the Batman ever did. But I continue to feel that the Batman universe that Matt Reeves has created, strictly looking at the quality, is the best thing that's currently running. I continue to advocate for this. I hope that people will continue to give it a chance. I think it's really, really exciting what Matt Reeves is doing. I cannot wait for the Batman Part 2 next, in 2 years. They're currently rumored to have a Joker TV series starring Barry Keoghan. That would be fantastic to watch. I would love that. There's rumors that they're doing a Clayface movie. I would be into that. I'm really into any and all expansions of this universe that we can get, because right now it is setting a benchmark in terms of consistent quality, and that speaks volumes when a lot of comic book adaptations this year, and frankly the last couple years, have been all over the place. When it comes to DC as a whole moving forward, that's where it gets a little complicated, because obviously, as we all know, James Gunn is currently planning he's planning a separate DC universe that Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson won't be a part of. Right now, the plan is for 2 different Batmen to be getting, consistent movies on the big screen. And frankly, I'm of the opinion that universe is kind of DOA. I suspect that the Superman movie that comes out next year is going to flop and flop hard, and it'll basically end any and all chances for that universe to continue. If I were Warner Brothers and the Warner Brothers brass, I would just ride Matt Reeves until the wheels fall off. I think he understands what he's doing. I think he is, again, setting a benchmark for consistent quality. And I would really like to see a world where this Batman universe, this franchise, is able to reach a satisfying conclusion the way the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy did. And the way that we never got to see the Snyderverse end properly. I would like to see the Reevesverse end properly. And I fear that the failure of James Gunn's DCU will impede that. And that is very worrisome, because I absolutely love what Matt Reeves is doing. And I want to see more of it. And I want to see it continue. And I want to see it continue with the full support of Warner Brothers. So we'll see what happens. But I think if you are someone who is jaded on the comic book genre, and I know that a lot of people are, I continue to feel that the Reevesverse of the Batman and the Penguin, soon to be the Batman Part 2, is the space to be. this is incredibly exciting work that is being done, and I hope that it continues to find and gain support. So that is it for The Penguin. Again, please go watch it. You will not be disappointed. Spectacular, spectacular, spectacular show. So moving on to A Real Pain. This movie just came out. This premiered back in January at the Sundance Film Festival, but it just recently got a release in the Pittsburgh area. This is a dramedy that was written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg. A lot of you probably know him from movies like Zombieland. He's a and The Social Network. He's a very talented comedic and dramatic actor whose own DC experience, where he played Lex Luthor, kind of derailed his career, and he's been kind of MIA for the last number of years. But this is his big comeback film. He wrote and directed it, and he stars along with Kieran Culkin of Succession fame, and Kieran Culkin was one of the best performances on that show, as well as Will Sharp from The White Lotus season 2. And I don't know if anyone here watches The White Lotus, but Will Sharp was one of the highlights there. Basic setup is that Eisenberg and Culkin play cousins who haven't seen each other in a long time and decide to reunite in order to go on a trip to Poland to honor their grandmother who just recently died and explore her Jewish heritage. And she is someone who survived the concentration camps, and they go to Poland to honor her memory. David is a very reserved individual, and Kieran Culkin plays a very eccentric individual. So it's very much an odd couple story, but it definitely has a strong dramatic element to it. And I can confidently say that while it's not my favorite movie of the year, I think I can make a very strong case that it has the best script of the year. The way that it balances drama and comedy, the way it builds out the characters, the way that it explores underlying themes in such a subtle way, it is an absolutely phenomenal, brilliant screenplay. I couldn't believe that someone like Jesse Eisenberg, who's been an actor for pretty much his entire career and came from Broadway, he's a playwright as well. I can't believe that he wrote a screenplay of this quality. I as it was unfolding before me, I was like, wow, this screenplay's good. As a director, he doesn't really make a lot of interesting choices. He kind of reminds me of Aaron Sorkin in that way, in that he's very much a writer and not a director. Aaron Sorkin, if you don't know who he is the writer behind the West Wing TV series. He also wrote The Social Network for Jesse Eisenberg. He wrote Moneyball. He's a remarkable screenwriter. And he recently tried to get into directing with movies like Molly's Game and Trial of the Chicago 7. And while those are good movies, those were definitely movies that were carried by the screenplay, and Sorkin didn't really do much as a director to kind of plus the material. The way that someone like David Fincher took Sorkin's material for The Social Network and plussed it. So I continue to feel that, Eisenberg, Sorkin is not a director, and I honestly feel that Jesse Eisenberg isn't a director either. But he is a really, really talented writer, and I would love for Eisenberg to continue getting screenwriting work moving forward because he's really, really good. When it comes to the performances, I think Eisenberg was really wise to cast Culkin because he gave Culkin the flashy role. Again, as I said, Culkin's character is the eccentric one of the two. But Eisenberg gave himself the monologue. So as a result, both actors have many moments to shine, and they both do exceptional work. Honestly, this might be the best Kieran Culkin's ever been. And as I just said, he was one of the best parts of one of the best television shows ever made. So that speaks volumes. But Kieran Culkin is absolutely remarkable in this. He grounds the entire thing. He is able to flip his emotions on a dime, on his face, and he sells you on all of the different twists and turns that the character provides and that the script provides, as the script kind of chips away at what this character has gone through. They both do, again, absolutely remarkable work. If I had to pick, right now Kieran Culkin is my choice for Best Supporting Actor. I don't entirely know if he'll win right now. Guy Pearce seems to be the front runner for The Brutalist. That movie doesn't come out in our area till December, so it'll be a couple weeks until I get a chance to see that. But as of right now, based on the movies that I've seen, I think Kieran Culkin is the best supporting actor choice for me. That's really all I can talk about without spoilers. Absolutely remarkable screenplay. If you're a fan of dramedies like Woody Allen movies or movies like The Graduate, I think that you're really, really, really going to dig this movie. Again, the way it balances the drama and the comedy, and the way that it in such a subtle way, explores such strong themes, makes it one of the best scripts of the year. And it's anchored by two really, really good performances. I can't recommend the movie enough. I don't know if you need to see it in theaters. On the surface, it definitely looks like a streaming movie, and I would understand someone having a kind of a knee-jerk reaction to that. But when it comes on digital and or streaming, I believe this is a Searchlight movie, so it'll come to Hulu and Disney Plus in a couple months. When it comes to Hulu and Disney Plus, please watch A Real Pain. You will not regret it. It is an absolutely phenomenal movie that I cannot recommend enough. So that is it for episode 4 of The Real Takes. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Starting next week, we have a couple really exciting things. So we have the new season of Cobra Kai, which just came out a couple days ago. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it as of the recording of this episode, but I will be watching it over the next week, and I will be giving a review of that next week. Starting right now, I haven't seen any reviews for Season 6 Part 2, but I wasn't a huge fan of Season 6 Part 1, so I hope that I have nicer things to say about Part 2, but I'm looking forward to watching that regardless. I like that show a lot. But then the big ticket item next week is Gladiator 2 comes out. This is one of my most anticipated movies of the rest of the year. I absolutely adore the first Gladiator movie. It's definitely in my top, I'd say 25 favorite movies ever. And it continues to look really, really impressive. So I can't wait to watch that. I'm sure that I'm going to get a couple questions about it, but no, I will not be reviewing Wicked because, quite simply, I don't have any interest in it. That's the same reason I did not review Red 1 this week. Red 1 was the big blockbuster release this weekend, with Dwayne Johnson and Chris Evans saving Santa, but I didn't want to watch a movie about Dwayne Johnson and Chris Evans saving Santa, so I didn't watch Red 1. And it'll be the same thing. I just don't have any interest in Wicked, so I won't be reviewing it, but I'm not going to be, hating on it either. It's just, it's not a movie that was made for me. I'm not the target demographic. But I am the target demographic for Gladiator 2, so I will be checking that out. I believe the plan is to see it Friday afternoon, and I cannot wait to watch that movie. So look forward to that in Cobra Kai next week. Until then, this has been the Real Takes podcast here on WSVC Radio. I'm your host, Dan Sisk, and we'll see you then.
Hey there, listeners. I'm Matt Boyer, station manager of WSVC Radio. If you like what you're listening to, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and hit that bell button to be notified with all of our newest updates. Every day, one of our shows is releasing a new episode. Stick around and stay tuned.